welcome back to the Larry Yates show. And look here, I know some of you guys are going to look at me and say, wow, this is kind of different. He's not in the same setting. Well, I'll tell you what happened. I had a few requests that the engineer is pointing at some stuff here. I had a couple of requests. I said, Larry, why don't you consider doing some solo shows, and that way we can just get to hear you just from your heart and your mind and the whole bit. And I talked to a few friends of mine, and they said, you know what, Larry, yeah, that's pretty good. So I put a text message out there too, and to a few people, and said, well, you know, what do you think about me doing a show? And I got some really positive feedback from you guys. I was really kind of surprised that, because as shy as I am, you expect for me to sit here and talk an hour by myself? That's not going to happen. Okay, maybe I'm lying just a little bit here. But I do want to talk about something. So this is going to be kind of the format that we're going to be using. I'm still going to have lots of guests and interesting guests on the show, hopefully. We're going to continue to reach out for that. But every now and again, because of requests, I am going to be doing a couple of shows, just me sitting here, and hopefully be thought-provoking. Now, this topic today, I think, given the situation that with the Me Too and what's going on with the current administration and the abuse of women in today's world that is coming out with all of the sexual harassment and stuff. And so what I did, I put a call out there and asked a couple of people, what topic would you like me to cover? And so in the future, that is, if there's a topic that some of you guys want me to cover or tackle, please feel free to send it to me, and I'll see what I can do about it. Because the one thing about it, I am not 100% news. I am not 100% religion. And so I kind of fit in the middle of politics, religion, and relationships, and you know, I'm really supportive of the arts, music, theater, books, you know. And last week, I think you guys so much, we got a wonderful response on the show we did last week on Finding Roger by Rick Ellis. And I still say that is a wonderful book that I hope that you guys go out and purchase and kind of look at that. And really, really is a wonderful book about relationships and true relationships, and without any kind of misleading silliness, but a really, really, really good relationship. And now the topic that I'm going to approach today, I tell you, some of you are not you're gonna disagree with me now. I get that. Oh, Yates, no, you're gonna disagree with him. And my approach to life, and the thing that has made me who I am today, and that part of me that I am proud of myself, and there's so much for me to grow. But like so many of you out there, I have overcome just tremendous, like Donald Trump said, tremendous. I've overcome many, many, many obstacles. And as most of us have come through many, many obstacles. And my approach today, now some of you are going to hear some of the things that I'm going to say for the first time. And I want you to remember that the information we had yesterday may not be as valuable as the lesson we can learn today, and hopefully be open-minded of what we can see in tomorrow. So I'm going to ask those of you to be just a little bit open-minded. Now, I'm not trying to make anybody right. I'm not trying to make anybody wrong. I am not trying to be right. I am just telling you on this show, when we go into this topic of women, the abuse of women, historically, what women have gone through and how we allowed women to end up in this situation. And the main question is, women, how did you end up here? Have you asked the question, how did women end up in this position that they are undervalued? You're undervalued. you're not appreciated at the level of consciousness and spiritual that God made you to be. What happened that men got it in their minds that you are weaker? What happened? How did you get here? You look all over the world now. You can go to some African countries where women clitoris has been removed so they don't enjoy sex. Or you go to some countries in the Middle East where women can be tortured and stoned to death just because the man is tired of her and he wants to move on to another relationship. And now, my African American sisters out there, be a little bit patient with me here, because I understand what we as black people have gone through. And I understand that what African American women went through slavery, and the Native American went through, the brutality that you went through is absolutely mind-blowing, and there's no way we will address that sometimes separately. But right now, with your patience, I want to talk about what you women have gone through collectively, what women have suffered throughout the globe. You know, there was a point in time that a man could own his wife. It didn't matter whether you was white, Asian, or whatever. He could own the wife. And quite naturally, I can't speak as strongly about other cultures as I can this one, but I can talk about America and then just add a little bit about what happens in the culture and the global condition that our women are in. And, you know, I based this show about elevating women, but we don't get to talk about how you got here. How did you get to the point that you have been demonized in the consciousness now, in the consciousness of some of these men? You look at what happened in the White House today. Porter and Kelly covering up. Donald Trump covering up, knowing that this man couldn't even get clearance from the FBI, working on some of the most sensitive information that this country have. They covered it up and knew that the women had said that he has been compromised. But because he's a man, he didn't have to get the clearance. Had that been you, woman? Never. It doesn't matter whether you was white, black, Asian, green, doesn't matter. But then when you see these men come together and circle the wagon around abuse of women. So we see now with the Me Too movement, and just count me in as part of the Me Too movement. And now we are seeing this filth and how women have been treated in the workplace, in corporate America, in education. Think about that. That you weren't even allowed to get higher education at one point. Then if you got the education, you couldn't get the position simply because you was a female. And someone had taught that you are less than a man. Where did it come from? You know, and what I'm going to get into here, and a lot of people are not going to like what I'm going to say, so I'm kind of getting us kind of revved up here. And so I'm really at the end of the show, the second half of the show, we're going to take a break. And then during the second half of the show, I'm going to try to tie some of this together and how to possibly look at the condition and how we got here, and how the women got here, and how possibly you can have some information to move forward. Because I want you to think about, I am talking subconsciously, consciously, what has happened that even many of you women, unfortunately, have bought into it, and that you even teach your daughters And that's for generations, that a man is over you, that a man is in charge. He's in control of the house. There was, and you know, and we're going to get into the hurt of this now, because that was a part where it's almost hard to imagine that there was one point in this country a man could rape his wife and it not even be called rape. She had nothing to support her. It wasn't even called rape because it was his wife. Women had no say so in the homes, and so much of the residue of the consciousness of that still lives in you. And I know many of you say, I'm not into religion and all of that stuff, because we're going to get into where it came from. And I want to prepare you that, yes, we're going to dig into some religion here. And I've talked to many women about the condition and how women got to this point. And when you bring a religion, and many women, not all, remember, nothing I say is to be used as a broad brush to paint all women or all men or all Christians or all Muslim or all Hebrew Israelites or Jews. Nothing I say is a all. But we're just saying the numbers are too big in the negative. You kind of have to agree with that. But then we're so quick to say, well, I'm not in a religion. Larry, I'm not in a religion. Okay, but guess what? Your local government is into religion, from your county, your small county supervisors that is in control of the financing and where the money goes and how that community is represented. He or she is a religious person. All the way up to the towns, the city councilmen, the mayor. They're religious. They go to church. They read the Bible. All the way up to the city, state, and into the White House. So it doesn't matter if you want to sit back and say you're not into religion. Doesn't matter whether you say that or not. Because the world that is controlling most of what you do is done behind religion. You have men that is controlling what you do with your body because of religion. But how did you get here? What happened in religion that got you to the point that you have suffered the way you have suffered? When you look at the atrocities that the Native American woman and the African American woman and the women in Africa and the Middle Eastern women, and then you look and think about this. Just work with me here. Think about the women of Salem. And we allow this silly man, Donald Trump, called things a witch hunt. How dare he use the word witch hunt? With what women suffered behind witch hunt, the torture, the brutality, the indignity that women suffered. Why? Because of religion. Witch hunt. They were evil. That's what you was called. And my question again, where did it come from? And so I want to prepare some of you a little bit for where we're going to go with this. And so I'm going to throw some things out there about the religion, because we're going to get into how you got here. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with me. I don't want you to agree with me. Go do your own research. Go see for yourself. You're living in an age of information. Please don't take Larry's word for nothing that I'm about to say. Just do some research, because I only want to make this a thought-provoking conversation. Now, let's go to a little bit of this, because, the sake of time, this hour is going to go by pretty fast. And the religion that is controlling, and let me put it this way, you have just about 6 billion people on the planet. Between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, you have almost 3 billion people. My God, can you wrap your mind around that? Just think about that. And these 3 major religions, which the Catholic Church, the Gospel Church, the you name it, comes under this umbrella. But the very religion that they practice, there's a guy named Paul in the Bible, you know, because we live in a Paulinian doctrine. So, and everything is according to Paul. Oh, it's according to Paul. Well, guess what Paul said? And Abraham is the glue now. Paul said that these things of Abraham is an allegory. I want you to think about that now. Don't take Larry's word for it. Go to the Bible. Go to Galatians 4:24. It said these things are an allegory. In Psalms 78:21. Guess what? God speaking now. I will open my mouth in parables. Huh? Allegories, parables. Jesus, hey, every time he opened his mouth, it was parables and metaphors. So with so much written in allegory, parables, and metaphors, I want you to remember this. Now remember, a metaphor is no different than what you believe in. You and I, we go out every day and say, I'm going to watch the sunrise in the east. And I'm going to watch the sun set in the west. It's an allegory. The sun doesn't rise in the east. The sun doesn't set in the west, but we believe it. We believe it so much that it's a part of our consciousness that we go out and say, what do you want to do, honey? Let's go watch the sunset. What do you want to do, honey? I want to go see the sunrise. Gives me a spiritual thing. But that's an allegory stating that the sun is spinning around and it's spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour as it orbits around the sun over 20-some thousand miles an hour. And then we get darkness and we get light. But we don't go through all of that. And as the sun and as the earth is rotating around the sun and rotating and orbiting around the sun, it tilts in 4 times a year, giving it about summer, winter, spring, and fall. But we don't have to say all of that because we use the allegory that we believe the sunrise and sunset. Now, let's get into what got you here. The thing that got you to this point is in the Bible, Adam and Eve. You was taught, and let me show you where your first fall came. The first time man put himself above you is that God created a man and laid him down and cracked him open, pulled out a rib. And he just cracked him open, and he said he put him to sleep. I don't have no proof he gave him nothing for no pain or nothing like that. But think about this. They just cracked him open. Now, I think he placed the rib down. I don't know. Did he place the rib down because he went back and said, I got to sew him up? You believe this. I didn't say it didn't happen. I'm just saying you believe it. You believe that God got you from a man and got it from his rib. Once again, just cracked him open. Laid the rib down and said, where's some sushi? So I got to go and sew him back up. I know many of you are not going to like what I'm saying. But we'll get to what this allegory means. But right now I'm trying to share with you how you have, as women, have been bamboozled to believe that you came out of a man, and therefore that man is above you. That's the first step in this Bible, in Christianity, in Islam, Judaism, and many other religions. Around the world, you came out of a man. Look, I didn't say it didn't happen. I'm just saying, think about it. And these preachers that don't know better should just walk off the pulpit. But those that know better should burn in the very hell that they're talking about. Because what they won't tell you about Lilith is Lilith, Lilith. You see, the first part of the Bible in Genesis is he created both male and female at the same time. Did you know that? Out of the same dirt. Yeah, they took that out of there. But it's in there. First chapter of Genesis, go look for yourself. The first one made male and female. Male and female. He, them. But the story goes that Lily was a little defiant. She didn't want to listen to the shit Adam was telling. Oh, hell no, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to help you name this shit myself. You ain't going to name everything. Then he went over there and formed the guy. And cracked open the rib. And that was the first sign now that you were to look up to the man. The whole universe is made of male, female, and behind the female attribute, but you believe you came out of a man. And then the second blow come to you women. Not only did you come out of a man now, you messed up the first sin. Got him to eat an apple or fruit or something. Yeah. Now here's the man walking around there naming everything, all of this shit, and but now the woman, then the first thing they say, the woman made me do it. Shit, don't blame me, the woman. Adam had no personal responsibilities for his action. None. He blamed it on you, the woman. Now see, the first thing should give you a clue that this could be the allegory that Paul was talking about, was that this happened in Northern Africa. Now you two English people walking around in Northern Africa naked, and one ate a fruit and screwed up the whole world because she talked to a snake. I mean, the snake thought Adam was too smart, so Adam didn't have to worry about going there. Oh, no, man, I ain't here. Adam didn't listen to no snake. But you women were so evil and twisted that you listened to the snake and you convinced this first man that God me, God. That's another thing right there. Man, I could go out there and hurt some of these preachers. God, I'm sick of these preachers talking about God. But you see, women, this is where you have been demonized behind this story. And here it is. Today, you're still teaching your women, your children, when they go into these churches, that the man is above your daughter because you came from his rib. You created the first sin. And oh, by the way, the first sin, this is going to blow your mind. Don't take Larry's word for anything. Go look this up. The moon god was the first sin. That represents sin, but all that was is emotions. The moon represented emotions, and living in the emotion was sin. It had nothing to do with nobody eating no daggum apple and stuff like that. If really and truly, if this wasn't so sad, that I really could laugh. But so much of this story has caused women, you women, to be second-class citizens, to be beat, raped, not given your proper opportunity to be the spirit that God created you to be because of the arrogance of men interpreting this allegory, as Paul called it, this metaphor because the men fear you women. Now, a lot of guys ain't going to like me saying that. They're just not going to like it. But what I can tell you is that whenever you have to crush someone like men try to crush women, that means you something about them you fear. Something that men figured out that they didn't know how to control you. They wanted to own this power, this beauty. And therefore, you end up in a condition that you're in today, where you have men that is making decisions on whether or not you can have abortion or not, what you should do with your body. A minute for the longest you had no rights, and even the same thing. Think about this. Paul, women should be quiet in church. All of this has caused you, as women, to suffer the way you have suffered for a few hundred years. And women, the thing that is, and I know now, once again, remember, we all believe the sun rises in the east and set in the west, but it's an allegory. It doesn't happen. And so women, and so when you and I, and especially when you give these preachers and you give that church that much power to continue to teach that doctrine, and you buy it literally, you also passes that on to your daughters and your sons. And then you wonder why, and we wonder why, wow, why is Susan acting like that? Why is little Johnny acting like that? Well, what do you think? You didn't just told a little boy he's better than you because, hell, guy got his rib cracked open. Look, I know this might be a little strange for a lot of people, but I want us to start to think about women, how you got into this condition. And now what you can do is to rethink these methods that has been used against you to make you second class citizens. And so we will move forward and kind of coming around and see what these metaphors mean. But for now, I think that if you as women take the opportunity right now to stand up and educate yourself on how this came about, push back against it. And I don't mean leave your church. That's not what I'm trying to tell you to do. I'm just saying challenge the theory. I'm saying go back to your minister, go back to your Bible, and go back and understand and talk about how you got to this point that you're second-class citizen, basically owned by your men. And this is where it all come from. You don't have to take my word for it. And the question is what do we do next? How do we get out of this? And there are really beautiful things that is happening in the community of women now. And we see the women rising up. You're challenging the establishment now. You're going forward now, but now arm yourself with this information if it's valuable to you, and stop taking yourselves and your children into these institutions that's going to tell them and perpetuate this madness that you are a second-class citizen because of God. It's the most fascinating thing once you really just get in it and look into it. It is just absolutely fascinating. And I think when you look at Donald Trump and how all of this has played out, where you have the president of the United States of America that swore his hand on that very same Bible, but he's showing you what he thinks of you as a woman. And you look at of the Republican Party, where this senator in Alabama that was a pedophile molesting young girls, there was women also covering up for him, because psychologically, historically, the man is in power. And here's the thing about that, and some of you women, when you know, and I know I'm not talking about all of you, you historically drag the guy, and the guy done beat you. The guy has beat you. He's mistreated you. And you drag him into church and say, honey, if you go to church and see Reverend so-and-so, priest so-and-so, then we have a chance to get through this. Well, guess what? The very church you're taking him to says under the same Paulinian doctrine that, look, by the blood of Jesus, you're forgiven. And you see him running around church with his hand all on the head and bouncing up and down because he know he can do it again. He knows if he do it again, he can get by with it. Because by the blood of Jesus, he's forgiven. Now, once again, this may not sit well for some of you, and all I'm trying to do is be thought-provoking. And these allegories of Adam and Eve is very powerful. They're very powerful when we get into and understand how, now that we see how we got here, we can get in and understand and see, well, what can we learn from this? What can I go back into the same story that has demonized me, you as women, that has made you a sinner, that has made you evil? And that's another thing. Let me do a little bit of math here for you now. The reason you at 18, especially here in America, is the reason you are an adult at 18 and is 666. You didn't think about that, huh? Yeah, when you get to be 18, you're an adult. That's 3 sixes, sweetie. Okay, don't condemn me for using the word sweetie. I'm pissed now. I'm on your side. But the thing about it, you can see clearly that how you being snatched from a rib of a man puts him over you. How you, the snake, is talking to you and you give into a snake, and then you talk him into eating a piece of fruit or something. And then guess what? You mess around and gave birth to a rotten son, Cain. Hey, you just think about where you are and how this played into the consciousness of your existence. The consciousness. And you to this day is living. You have the right-wing church from your Bannons, your Steve Bannons and your Jerry Falwell and your, it just go on and on, your TBN, all of these right-wing preachers and some of these hitting head ministers and some rabbis, and all these people are sitting there telling you this story of how you came about that perpetuate the consciousness of you being less than a man. It just blows my mind. I know some of you are going to call me and say, Larry, this is the word of God. I didn't say it wasn't the word of God. I'm just saying, would you consider looking at it differently? Okay, if you want to say it's the word of God, okay, I'm with that. Let's take a chance at looking at it differently. And if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. But don't just live in the information you got yesterday and not think about what you can receive in today's world and what you might be able to learn tomorrow. That is considered open-mindedness. And once again, remember, many of you, when we started this talk just now, You were still thinking the sun rose in the east and it's set in the west. Look at that beautiful sunset. It doesn't set. It's because we've been taught to believe something that is not reality. And that is what we want to look into and try to go in and see what is it that these allegories are saying that may benefit you as a woman and benefit me as a man, that I can look at a woman and have more and more respect for a woman and not fall under the conditioning that I myself have grown up under, that used to believe the interpretation of this. It is an amazing story, and it is an amazing time in our life for us to move forward. And I got to check the time right now. Jarvis, how much time am I looking at here? 15. I got 15 minutes to go? Yeah. This is going by so fast. Look at what I want to do. I brought a song I wrote and produced and did a video of. So we're going to take a musical break. And then when I come back, we're going to get into some of the interpretation. And once again, I'm not trying to make you right or wrong. I'm not trying to make Reb right or wrong. I'm just saying let's open our minds and explore possibilities. Are we up, Jarvis? Okay.
People rising in the streets, they see what's going on. Too many loved ones dying, too many kids no home. In the troubles of the world, leaders push us down. Lies and fear keep us on the ground, like a storm inside, raining in the facts. Like lightning, the truth is striking back. Oh, I can see the sunrise, I can see a brighter way. I can see the world changing day by day. I can see the spirit fly, I can see a mother's cry, the heads held high. I can see the sunrise, I can see the sunrise, I can see the sunrise,
I can see a brighter day.
Damn your holy daycare, peace be unto you, Yahweh will be there. They say they died for you. In the troubles of this world, leaders push us down. Lies and fear keep us on the ground, like a storm inside, raining in the facts. And it's just like lightning, the truth is striking back. Oh, I can see the sunrise, I can see a brighter way. I can see the world changing day by day. I can see the spirit fly, I can see the mother's cry, heads held high. I can see the sunrise, I can see the sunrise, I can see the sunrise.
I can see a brighter day.
I can see the sunrise, I can see the sunrise, I can see the sunrise,
I can see a brighter day.
us down, lies in fear, keep us on the ground like a storm inside, raining in the facts, and it's just like lightning, the truth is striking back. Oh, I can see the sunrise, I can see a better way. I can see the sunrise,
I can see a brighter day.
yeah, I can see the sunrise, I can see the spirit fly,
Better way.
I can see the spirit fly,
I can see a brighter day.
I can hear the children's laughter, I can see it in their eyes,
Better way.
I can see blue sky,
I can see a brighter day.
I can see the rainbow, I can see the rainbow,
Better way.
I can see the sunrise,
I can see a brighter day.
I can see the sunrise.
Hey, 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 hey. Ah, I can see the sunrise. I did that song a few years ago and did the video because there was a lot of, sometimes the heavens or universe or God or whatever you want to call it, speak to you and kind of give you an insight of some things that possibly coming down the pipeline, and I did that before the Black Lives Matter situation, and now the Me Too movement, and I just thought you'd enjoy watching your boy perform there a little bit. But anyway, thank you for being back. I got a text message here. Now you guys know I'm from Mississippi. Now I'll mispronounce everything, but for the sake of time, let me move on. And women, as a man, I'm almost ashamed. And the reason I say almost ashamed because I know so many men that still buy into this, that you are less than them and that you, it's almost like they want to own you. Not almost. And like I said, and men, I know some of you are going to be not going to like this, and a lot of the preachers. In fact, I just blew my shot at getting my show in some of the southern radio stations that I was hoping to do, because I'm challenging what has been taught to you about who you are in a church. I am challenging that, and I don't apologize for that. But before the sake of time, let me do this. When the allegories and the allegories, and someone is correcting me on pronouncing these words, so just forgive me. I'm from the South. See, when this came out of ancient Egyptian philosophy, the ancient Egyptians have this on stone walls in Memphis tens of thousands of years before the Bible was even written. So the stories of the allegories came out of these ancient philosophy, but they had powerful meaning to them. And so when you go back and look at the atom, it's the atom. The moving of the rib is representing of back in the ancient civilization that they were splitting the atom, and they understood the technology of splitting the atom. And once you split the atom, then energy emerges, and energy starts to reproduce itself, male and female. Adam and Eve is about a consciousness that is within all of us. Do you hear me? Adam and Eve is about consciousness that is within each and every one of us. Adam represents the physical. It's when we are living at a lower consciousness, when we are living in our desires. And Eve represents the spirit, the emotions, the God in us that is speaking. And we all have that snake inside of us that whispers in our ear to tell us, we can eat that ice cream. You can drink that liquor. You can rob that store. We all have that snake inside of us that represent, that challenge us to follow the spiritual higher consciousness of Eve and Adam when they are in balance. And when our consciousness comes together is when God said, let these two come together and let no man rip them apart. That is you finding balance inside of you and your spirit, that you can be the best that you can be in the Spirit of God. Then when you come and be the best that you can be in the Spirit of God, then Adam gonna always bite the apple. Eve is gonna always try to get us to move from one side or the next. It was nothing about you being ripped from a rib. This is about matter being separated from the atom that bring about all energy. And in our consciousness, it is called the yin and the yang, the Adam and the Eve. And the voice that is in our heads is within us, where we give in to our desires. That is Adam. And when we have the will to do and move forward, that is our Eve, and she gives birth to ideas. That is called Cain and Abel. And Cain is tiller of the soil, meaning your consciousness, your mind. That means you can go in your mind with great ideas. And you've heard people say, where'd you dig that idea up from? It's about your consciousness. It is not about some story that you are less than a man. It is about you looking in the mirror and being the best that you can be inside of you, and I be the best that I can be inside of me. You can teach your daughters, your son, that they are equal to each other in the spirit of the universe and under the consciousness of God. We are all equal, males and females, because once the atom was split, everything has male and female in it. In the word woman, you have man. In the word she, you have he. In the word female, you have male. They know this. Many of the preachers know this. And I hope many of them sit back and look at what they have done to women and how women got to be second-class citizens and treated the way they have been treated, the way you have been treated, like objects, like animals, like ownership, when you are the majesty of this universe. You, woman, is before creation and will be after creation. It is all about you, and we men know this. So as we close this today, your Cain and your Abel are just ideas that is fighting each other. Every time you come up with a good idea and say, oh, that old Cain would try to kill that good idea. That's all in us. And when the Adam and the Eve seek and find that balance of consciousness within who we are, then we can teach our children to be better women and better men. I thank you for this show today. This was a different show. And if you have a topic for me to tackle, please hit me up on my email, Larry Yates as is at AOL.com. Larry Yates as is at AOL.com. You have a topic you want me to challenge and cover, and please do. And I want to do more and more of this. And once again, know that the Eve in you is the energy that was created by the Almighty to bring balance upon this earth. Remember, a nation can rise no higher than it elevates its woman. Thank you so much.